Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Let's Talk Wednesday. My name is Melshanique Collins, and I am the CEO and family advocate of the Grace Agency, where we advocate for families that have child welfare cases. We also help fathers to gain rights to their children through legitimation, and we also connect families to local community resources. And for those of you that had never seen our Let's Talk Wednesday, what we do on our Let's Talk Wednesdays are we feature different businesses, organizations, or agencies that can give you more information about resources that you may need. You guys, there are so many resources that are out there and service providers that can serve you and meet your need. But guess what? We got to get more information on them, right? So every week we do a different one. And this week, we are going to be speaking with someone that I met at a health event not too long ago. And I believe that her business and her organization and what she offers is very great to the community, especially those of you that may be suffering from any health issues, or just it may run in your family, right? And you just need some more information and education on what you need to do about that. So, without further ado, you all, we're going to go ahead and get started. And I'm going to let her introduce herself and get a little bit of background information about what she does.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dr. Sabrinah Dorce, and I am the founder and the executive director for Abundant Living Foundation. Abundant Living Foundation is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. And what we do is we provide the primary services, screening, and education for those who may be at risk for type 2 diabetes.
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, so Dr. Sabrina, so you said that you provide screening services for those who may be at risk for pre-diabetes. I went on your website and I saw that you have 3 phases of how you do that. So can you give us a little bit of information on if someone had some concerns or something ran in their family and they just wanted to come and get tested, what would that process look like? What would they have to go through?
Okay, so the first thing they would do is make an appointment. If they have an issue or think they may be at risk with a family history of type 2 diabetes,
Mm-hmm.
they could make an appointment, come in, and we would do a screening. We offer the wave test, point of care testing for hemoglobin A1C, which would tell us if they're normal, pre-diabetic, or diabetic. All right. If they're pre-diabetic, then we would offer education, counseling, and also we offer the National Diabetes Prevention Program, so that they may become a participant in that program. And
Okay.
so, and that way, that is a group educational process that is online. So you don't have to be where I am. It's a Zoom platform that we offer. And so I can go into more detail about how that works. That is a group setting. Now, if they want individual counseling or education, I can do that as well.
Okay. Now, some people are extremely afraid of blood, needles, any of that information. So I know you said that, they come in and you do the screenings. Can you give a little bit of information on how that process goes for those of you all that may be out there that's like, if I have to have a needle or blood drawn, I'm just a little bit afraid about how that works.
Okay, so it's not bad at all. All right, so they come in and we merely do a finger stick to get the blood. We don't need much. Our systems are FDA approved and CLIA certified to do the testing and report the results. So they would get a small little finger stick, and
Okay.
a lot of people, I just tell them just relax. And then when it's done, they said, "Oh, that wasn't bad at all." All right. So we do the hemoglobin A1C, which is going to tell you where you are in terms of pre-diabetes or diabetes. We also do the lipid profile, and that consists of total cholesterol, LDL, HDL, triglycerides, and two additional markers for cardiovascular disease, and that would be the non-HDL and the total cholesterol to HDL ratio. And then, in addition to that, we do the body composition analysis. And this
Okay.
for, yes, and that would give us your weight, of course, your body mass index, your metabolic age. And a lot of people get a kick out of the metabolic age when they find that their metabolic age is younger than they are, okay, than
Wow.
their actual number or their actual age. So that's good. And then a very important parameter would be the visceral fat. Now, the visceral fat has a scale, and if you're above a certain number or a certain
Mhm.
level, it would indicate that you may have chronic disease. So we use all those parameters together to put together a educational program for that individual, or invite them to join our CDC National Diabetes Prevention Program.
Awesome, awesome. Now, for those of us that might not know all the symptoms or what diabetes are, like we might have just heard about it, or we might know somebody in our family that might have it. Can you give us a little background on how we can possibly get diabetes and what symptoms should we be looking out for in order for us to, come in and get checked out, or we need some serious help?
Okay, so that's a good question. I would say if you have a family history of diabetes, that would be one thing. For individuals that are over 45 years of age and a
Mm-hmm.
family history, that would be an indication you should come in. And for those of us who are overweight or obese or have obesity, that would be another indicator. And of course, your race. There's a high prevalence of type 2 diabetes in the African American population, but
Mm-hmm.
also in the Hispanic population. And so it doesn't discriminate. Everyone can be at risk for type 2 diabetes. All right. So um, that's what you would, if you have any of those characteristics, then
Mm-hmm.
you would be a candidate for screening, at least for screening. All right. Now, diabetes is really, you don't have a lot of symptoms early on, but there are some things that you would notice if you are moving in that direction. If you are thirsty all the time, if you urinate often, if you are tired, if you have tingling in your extremities, in your fingers or your toes, that would be an indication that you're, well on your way. Um, so those are some of the physical implications for diabetes.
Okay. Okay. Now, if I come in and I find out that I have diabetes, right? And but I was raised on eating certain foods and I really don't know how to eat better. Is there a way for you or your program to incorporate like a nutritionist or just to give me a guide of meals that I can make or ways that I can eat better?
Absolutely. I have a profile of different eating plans, is what I call them.
Okay.
Eating plans, not a diet, an eating plan. It's something that you want to start slow, but then incorporate it into your everyday life so that you can realize a lifestyle change. Now, I can do that for the individual or for the group. The CDC's National Diabetes Program, Prevention Program,
Mm-hmm.
is a year-long program. The first 16 weeks are once a week. You would have a intervention with myself or one of our counselors, and then after that, it's every other week. Alternatively, I have all just the number of different eating plans that I would counsel on an individual basis.
Okay.
And so that would be a different process. But we have low sugar diet, Mediterranean eating plan, my mistake, Mediterranean eating plan, another eating plan for heart healthy, a heart healthy eating plan. And they fundamentally are based in the fresh vegetables and fruit. You
Okay.
know, that's the basis of the a better eating plan for all of us, not only
Absolutely.
those with pre-diabetes or diabetes. All right. So what I can say now is, you know, step up your fresh vegetables and fruit. If you're diabetic, go, you know, easy on the fruit, and
Mm-hmm.
whole grains, beans are very good. You want a eating plan that's nutrient dense and calorie, deficient almost. Okay.
Okay.
You
Okay.
want something that's going to give you the vitamins and minerals and fiber that you need, to be healthy. And that would definitely be a good plan for someone who is pre-diabetic or diabetic. And we can't forget the exercise. Exercise
Absolutely.
is a physical activity is a vital sign. That
Mm-hmm.
means that you really need it. It's a vital sign, just like other vital signs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so for the National Diabetes Prevention Program, it's recommended that you engage in 150 minutes per week of physical activity. And that could be going to the gym, going out to go for a walk. It can include mowing the lawn, cleaning your house. All those things are physical activity. The point is that don't sit down too long, you know,
Absolutely.
don't be sedentary. Get up, move around, do something, and it's all counted for your good and for your physical activity quota.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So the program, the CDC program that you are talking about, where they can either do that once a week or they can also get some individual counseling from you. Can you give me more information on what that program is doing? Like when they come once a week, what can they expect to get from that program?
Okay, there's a lot of information on how to eat to prevent type 2 diabetes,
Okay.
the exercise, which I've already mentioned, but
Mm-hmm.
also you can't forget about proper sleep and how to manage stress. And so those are other things that you would learn. And it really goes into a lot of detail,
Okay.
about how many carbs, how much protein, and how much fiber you should have. And in my individual counseling, I go into uh, knowing what the glycemic index is on different foods,
Mm-hmm.
learning how to properly look at your nutritional facts on those foods that you buy in the supermarket,
Yep.
and you really check it out. Of course, we want no trans fats. We want to make sure that the saturated fats are in the lower level. You want to decrease the amount of salt that you eat
Mm-hmm.
and sugar. That's a big that's a big one. I also have individual PowerPoint presentations. I have a whole series of PowerPoint presentations that I give on an individual basis, or if it's a group, I can do it in a group. We start
Okay.
with overview of type 2 diabetes and the three main types of diabetes. Then we talk about how to control your cholesterol. That's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
You learn about the levels, the normal levels, and when to be concerned. I have one on high blood pressure, which is a really very important aspect of the whole training. Then we have the many names of sugar. You'd be surprised things that are
Yep.
sugar in them. And if you don't know, I'll pick this up. If it doesn't say sugar, then you don't know. But there's many names, over 100 names of
Wow.
Yes, that contains
Wow.
sugar. So that's another one. I also have one on diabetes in children. That's there's a move with the obesity and overweight of our young children.
Yep, there
They
is.
have high blood pressure and pre-diabetes. So,
Wow.
and there's a lot of that has to do with the marketing of sweets and fats and sugar to young
Mm-hmm.
people. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
1 billion dollars in advertising to children featuring sugar, fat, and salt, which is
Wow.
which is something else. And so even for the children, I have some information that I have for them, in addition to how to alert the parents to get involved with the schools and make sure that their lunches at school, or if they have breakfast at school,
Mm-hmm.
if they meet a healthy standard, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And when we go out to do screenings in the community for the young people, I don't screen them. I don't do the um, blood tests for them, but we would do the body composition analysis, and
Okay.
we have an educational game called healthy eating
Okay.
that it's interactive. It's
Mm-hmm.
and it's and they really love that. They really like that. And I also bring along a miniature anatomical model of the organs that are affected by diabetes. And but the first time we went out and there were children at the event, they just gravitated right to that model. They were
Mm-hmm.
very interested. And then you get a
Mm-hmm.
chance to explain what this is. And they
Right.
put a little anatomy lesson in the meantime. So,
That's
so,
great.
so those are some of the things that we do.
Okay, great. Now, I do see a lot on your website about pre-diabetes. Do you do any other type of testing?
Well, we test for cardiovascular disease with the lipid profile. The
Okay.
lipid profile, that's what it looks at. As a
Okay.
matter of fact, they were previous to recent years, they were using the low density lipoprotein, which is the bad cholesterol, as an indicator for heart disease. Now they have two new parameters that they use that they say is a better indicator if you're starting to have a heart disease problem, and that is the total cholesterol to high density lipoprotein ratio. So
Mm-hmm.
that's TC over HDL, the good cholesterol.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other one is non HDL cholesterol, which is non high density lipoproteins. Okay.
Okay.
So, and then I mentioned the cholesterol presentation I give. I teach you what all those parameters are,
Mm-hmm.
and not only their value, but what they do in the body. Like,
Okay.
why did we say we need a higher level of HDL and we want a low level of LDL?
Mm-hmm.
Because LDL is going to uh, cause plaque in your arteries. And what the LDL, so you want a low level of LDL, but
Okay.
the HDL, the high density lipoprotein, its function is to go through your bloodstream and pick up all those low density lipoproteins and transport them to the liver so you can get rid of them. So that's why we want a high level of HDL and a low level of LDL, for one. And it
Mm-hmm.
also will pick up triglycerides, but that's another story.
Okay. And so what is the age range that you typically see diabetes starting in someone?
Well, I'll have to say, in looking at the literature, because as I said, we don't test children, they would have
Mhm.
to go to their family physician. But
Okay.
from the literature, as young as 10 years old,
Wow.
high blood pressure and pre-diabetes. And I can say from my own family experience,
Mm-hmm.
um, we had a young person that had high blood pressure at 13.
Wow.
Yes, and if children are overweight or obese, that
Mm-hmm.
increases their risk for high blood pressure and pre-diabetes. And so, yeah, that's it's really something. So, you want to emphasize, you know, cutting back on the fast foods and being very active, play soccer, play baseball, skate, something,
Mm-hmm.
swim, really boost up the activity for the young people and limit the visits to the fast food restaurants.
Got you.
Okay,
Got you.
so I think that has a big part. That's a big part of why we're seeing increase in overweight and obesity in children. And then even at home, I we need to the families, so the parents need to embrace a healthy eating plan for the family,
Mm-hmm.
because the children are going to follow the parents usually. And
Yeah,
so, yeah, so if we can get a healthy eating plan for the family, that's going to go a long way. And then
absolutely.
education. Education is key for everyone,
It is.
no matter how young they are. 4 years old. The healthy um, food game I have for children is from 4 years old up. Okay, so everyone is able to learn what the best thing to do for their health, and
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I can agree with you when it comes to education because sometimes people just don't know,
that's right.
and we might push it to the side if we start experiencing something that doesn't feel right. We know that our eating habits are healthy, but who wants to go and find out that they have diabetes, right? And that they have to change the way that they eat or the way that they cook for their family, especially when it's been passed down from generation to generation. So education definitely is very important.
Yeah. Another, as you were saying that, another symptom that you might, be progressing from pre-diabetes on is blurred vision.
Mm.
Blurred, and people don't connect the two, you know, but blurred vision is another one. What happens if I hope I'm not going into too much detail, but when you have a lot of glucose or sugar in your blood,
Mm-hmm.
circulating everywhere. It's circulating everywhere. And the reason that it affects the kidneys and the eyes early on is because the vessels in those organs are tiny. And so it has an effect right away.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that was a symptom of
Oh, yeah.
that you're progressing.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Okay. And so, Dr. Sabrina, do you have any warnings for people that either may already have been diagnosed with diabetes, but they're not treating it correctly, like they're not exercising, they're not watching, the way that they eat and what they're eating? Do you have any warning for those, or for those that feel like they have some of the symptoms, but they just don't want to get tested? Do you have any warnings or words of encouragement for those?
Yes, I do. I think that I don't want to scare anybody,
Hmm.
but I think that we need to really take this seriously. Okay.
Absolutely.
And what abundant living tries to do is identify people in the pre-diabetic stage.
Hmm.
And so we can encourage them to change their lifestyle, their eating habits, their exercise. Stress is another one. Stress will cause a lot of problems. One of
Absolutely.
which, yeah. So you have to, eliminate the stress, do your exercise, sleep well.
Hmm.
That's another thing. And so I would say that the complications of type 2 diabetes is a motivation for someone to really try to stay away from going in that direction.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so when you have potential for blood clots in your vessels, a stroke, a heart attack, um, no feeling in your extremities leading to amputation,
Wow.
and kidney disease
Mm-hmm.
and blindness. I mean, that is actually the outcome of that. And then when you take the medication, if you're on medication, the medication is not going to cure you.
Mm-hmm.
You
Right.
start with metformin, you move on to insulin, and then another and another. And there's a slew of medications for diabetes, but it's not curing you.
Right.
The better route would be to really seriously think about all those complications and try to avoid them. Not only is it a toll on your body, it's a toll on your pocketbook as well, and
Yep.
on your family, because it's not you alone. Your family is affected by it as well, you know. So I would emphasize, the if you really look at where you're going, you would try to avoid that, I would think, you know. And
Absolutely.
it's not easy for everybody, but education again is the key. And I've been to different places, and trying to screen people, and I tell them what we're doing. And sometimes people will say, I don't want to know.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't want to know is not a good response.
Right.
You want to know the earliest that you can, so you can turn it around. And
Ab-
there's diabetes. That's our tagline is diabetes prevention is possible.
mm-hmm.
Hear me now. Diabetes prevention is possible. In Georgia, we have 2.1 million people who are pre-diabetic,
Wow.
and 84% do not know it. That's where we're unique, where we go out to the community and do the point of care, FDA approved, clear certified testing for
Mm-hmm.
hemoglobin A1C. We do the testing and we can report those results. If we find someone who is already diabetic, we will give counseling and education.
Okay.
Yes, we will. And we will also refer them to a physician,
Okay.
okay, if they're already diabetic. But
Okay.
if they're pre-diabetic, we can work with them, you know. And as far as the CDC's National Diabetes Prevention Program goes, there are many programs around Georgia and around the whole United States. And
Mm-hmm.
so they don't have to come to us. They can go online and look at a in-person um, program near where they live, because
Right.
they have in person, they have the hybrid, which is in person and virtual, and
Mm-hmm.
then they have the online.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. And last question, Dr. Dorsey, is for the individuals that do want to know, right? Whether they have a proclivity because of family history, or they think that something may be wrong and they want to come and get checked out or they want to get a screening. Where can they locate you?
Well, we're in Canton. We're
Okay.
in Canton at 1558 Marietta Highway, Suite 200.
Okay.
Okay. And so they can call or go online. You can get an appointment online, and I get that notification right away.
Okay.
In addition to that, that's for the individual. We've been invited to many facilities,
Mm-hmm.
churches, health fairs, and so we go out. And so if you have a need, you have an event, and you would like us to come out, just give us a call and we'll see if we can manage that. Most
Okay.
times it's a
Awesome.
yes.
Awesome, awesome. And so I think that's it. I really just wanted people. Oh, actually, that's not it. So, do you require insurance or different forms of payment, or how does that work if someone wants to come to you and they might not have insurance, or how does that work at your facility?
Okay, so we are a nonprofit, a 501c3 nonprofit. And
Okay.
so donations are welcome. If
Okay.
you don't have money, you don't have to pay. But we are nonprofit, so if you can make a donation, that would be fine. But you don't have to stay away because you don't have money. And
Awesome.
yeah, and the other thing is I don't take insurance. You know,
Okay.
I'm in the process of trying to get Medicare. It takes months to get signed up for Medicare. So we don't take insurance right now. But just as I said, we're a nonprofit. Just come on in. And I started this with for profit, lasting health impact. And I
Mm-hmm.
found that a lot of people that need this service could not afford it. And that's when I started Abundant Living Foundation. So I know what the story is out there. But
Wow.
my heart is to help people because it's devastating.
It is.
Diabetes is devastating. And if you can know what to do and prevent it, you're helping yourself, your family, even society as a whole, because medical costs, it's eventually they come to us, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
So this is my mission. That's why I'm here to
Uh,
serve. Yeah.
so let me ask you this. I know I keep saying last question, but let me ask you this. What gave you the passion and the desire to even think about diabetes in the way where you knew that you wanted to help others that were going through it?
Okay. That's a good question. And I do have an answer. In 2003, and I'm a scientist. Okay. So,
Wow.
and yeah, I'm a biochemist. I have a PhD in biochemistry, a BS in medical technology. So I've been doing laboratory work for over 40 years. I
Wow.
have my 40-year American Society of Clinical Pathologists plaque on the wall. Okay.
Wow. Good for you.
Praise the Lord. So anyway, in 2003, I was through work, I came to know about the Association of Black Cardiologists. That
Mm-hmm.
I lived in New York then. They
Mm-hmm.
were in Georgia and they had a program and we applied through a competitive application process to be a part of this 5-state, 2 churches per state choices program,
Mm-hmm.
changing health outcomes by improving cardiovascular education and screening. That
Mm-hmm.
was in 2003. All right, that program went on for several years and we would go out to the community. They had 2 components. They had a screening component, which they did the lipid profile and fasting glucose. The Afinion 2, which does the hemoglobin A1C, was not available then.
Mm-hmm.
So we just did the fasting glucose, okay? And then they had the body composition analyzer, and we did that. We go to churches, we went to the Y, we went wherever and in New York, we had lines out the door, okay,
Mm-hmm.
doing the screening. And then, so that was one portion of the program. The other portion was a health-based Bible study.
Wow.
Yes, ma'am. And I still have the book one. I've given, a lot of weight through the years. And, we carried on that. um, 7 Steps to a Healthy Heart was the name of it.
Wow.
Yes, yes. And so
Health-based Bible study. I've never heard of that. That's so unique.
health-based by the ABC. And when the program died out, then I became connected through work again, through
Mm-hmm.
work with the National Kidney Foundation. The Choices program lost funding. And so
Mm-hmm.
I moved over through work, I found out about this KEEP, Kidney Early Evaluation Program.
Okay.
Kidney disease is a continuum of diabetes. Did
Mm,
you know that?
no.
That
Wow.
yes, the longer you have diabetes, it affects your kidneys, but also the medication that you're on could have an effect. All medications are metabolized by the liver and the kidney. So invariably, it's going to have an effect on your kidneys.
Mm-hmm.
So I worked with them a couple of years. All right. And so then retired, moved to Georgia, tried gardening for about a spring. That was, and then I came across this health coach training. So
Mm-hmm.
I said, "Oh, that looks interesting." So I took that. So I'm a certified health coach. And then I'm looking online and I see the National Diabetes Prevention Program. And it's you can train to be a lifestyle coach. So I trained for that.
Mm-hmm.
And with all that, that's when I started the, you know, lasting health impact, which
Mm-hmm.
morphed into Abundant Living Foundation. And so
Wow.
that's how I got here. So, I'm looking at 2003, 21 years,
Wow.
21 years, in this space. And
Mm-hmm.
so I did say all that to say my um, education, BS in medical technology, where that's laboratory, clinical labs. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Then PhD in biochemistry. I did my postdoc, my dissertation on red blood cells, my postdoc on white cells. And when I went to work for Siemens, I worked with platelets.
Wow.
And so for me, my whole career is divine intervention.
Yep.
And everything that I've done in the past leads me right to where I am now. That's why I say this is my mission. This is my
Mm-hmm.
calling. It's
Mm-hmm.
not just, something I want to do.
Right.
It's deeper than that.
Absolutely. Everything that you have experienced or went through led you to these, monumental moments where you got to where you are right now.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely. Praise the Lord.
Absolutely.
Because that's it. There's no way you can orchestrate that to end up here on your
Right.
own.
Right.
No way. You know,
Right.
I'm talking years,
Wow.
years. Yeah. So
Wow, wow, wow. Yeah, that was a divine transition and journey to get you to your purpose so that you can help other people. Because diabetes is very serious and it does run rampant in our community. I mean, more times than not, you hear of people being affected and people, losing a leg or losing, an arm or, just people dying in their last state of life just becomes terrible because it starts taking everything from them.
that's right.
Everything.
Absolutely. And back in 2003, there was the ABC wanted to see a change by 2010. Okay.
Wow.
Now we're heading to 2030 and
Right.
it's not getting better, it's getting worse. As a matter of fact, the US, let me see, Department of Health and Human Services, they have this initiative called Healthy People 2030. And they have a lot of different categories where they want to see improvement.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them is to see a decrease in the number of people who do not know that they're pre-diabetic.
Wow. So just getting them to the table, getting them screened. Wow.
And we're right. And we were doing this before I knew that that was, 2030. But yeah,
Right.
and so for me, I feel like we have our finger right on the pulse,
Yep.
as they used to say,
Yep.
of what's going on and what should be going on. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I stay with this. It's not easy, you know,
Right.
but it's just something that I feel like I have to do, and
Wow.
help other people
And just
do better.
the statistics alone let you know that that's something that is needed. Because if that initiative, they just want everybody that is in pre-diabetes, they want them to get tested. And I'm thinking as you're talking, I'm like, okay, well, why is that important? But then it dawns on me that that's very important, because before you know it, people that don't know that they are pre-diabetic, they'll be in full-blown diabetic because they don't know, like, hey, you can prevent it right now if you do these things, instead of showing up and their vision is impaired or something is going on with them because of ignorance and not wanting to get diagnosed or labeled. But that is very important, because if
Right.
you can prevent it, then you can stop the trend of people having it and then dying with it.
That's right. And you brought up the important point. Once you're diagnosed with diabetes, your insurance premiums go up.
Wow.
And some insurances won't even take you. I
Wow.
was trying to, a couple of years ago, was a couple of years ago, I was approached by an insurance person,
Mm-hmm.
and that's how I found that out. I said, sure, I'll test the people that, come to you.
Mm-hmm.
Some insurance companies won't even give you insurance. And then where are you? Then
But
you
you
have,
need insurance the most.
that's right. That's right.
Wow.
That's right. Yep. Or
Wow.
or if your premium is gonna increase, one or the other, you know?
Wow. So it really is better just to face it and then be proactive and do something about it while you still can. And
Yep.
not saying that you can't reverse it once you have diabetes, but that mindset, like you got to start changing that mindset in order to change your outcome. You have to.
Yes. And change your behavior, change
Yeah.
your lifestyle, all those. And another thing is stress. Stress can take you in.
Oh,
You know
yeah.
what I mean?
Oh,
So
yes.
that's another thing. So it's we have to look at the social determinants of health as well,
Mm-hmm.
because all that feeds into this problem. You know what
Yep.
I mean?
Yep.
So
Wow.
there's a lot of work to be done. People who are worried about, you know, where they're going to live, are they going to have food to eat,
Right.
how they going to get around to get to where they need to get treated, and all that feeds into this epidemic, because it's a pandemic actually, because it's all over the world. I
Yeah.
was just on a international webinar this the other day, okay, and they're talking about diabetes and kidney disease,
Mm.
and how you look at the diabetes, but rather than looking at other things, you need to look at their kidney function too.
Mm.
So
Mm.
it's worldwide, not only here. It's worldwide, especially in third world countries.
Wow. Woo, that's a lot of information. And so, you all, I do have Dr. Sabrina Dorce's information down in the comment box. Hey Denise, how you doing? If you need more information or you want to schedule an appointment with her, again, you all, she is in Canton, and the phone number for her is 404-282-8292. Or you can visit her website, which is Abundant Living Foundation Inc. That's INC.org. You all, please reach out to her if you feel like you have a history of it, or you just need to get tested. You're over the age limit, or you might be overweight. Definitely reach out to her, you all, and get tested, because this is very important. You don't want to wake up and just been ignoring these symptoms that you've been having, and now you're in a dire situation. Get tested, and if you do have it, then start being proactive about it. because it's not something that you want to carry into your future. And I want to thank you, Dr. Sabrinah, for just stepping up to the call, right?
Mhm.
Because when you are called by God and you have a purpose, it's not always easy. It's not, peaches and cream and roses, but it's worth it. It's worth the journey and the people that are attached to you that you're going to help. So I want to thank you, Dr. Sabrina, for being obedient and doing what you were purposed to do, and for also speaking with us today at Let's Talk Wednesday. I appreciate you.
Well, I appreciate you, and I thank you, Miss Collins, for inviting me to do this.
No
I
problem.
think that this is a good thing because this is helping us spread the word.
Yes,
And this
ma'am.
was an education for someone, you
Yes.
know.
Yep.
So I thank you so much. I really appreciate being able to connect with you, and so we'll stay connected for
Yes, ma'am,
sure.
we will.
Yes,
All
and
right.
and to
You
all
have,
your audience, thank you.
I will, and I will continue to if people just need to find out more, or they're brave enough to come in and get tested. So I'll keep that alive, and any post I see, I will try to do my best to refer them to you. But thank you, Dr. Sabrina, and I pray that you have a great day.
And you as well. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. All
All
right.
right.
So long.